Good morning. I am so glad that you are worshiping with us here today at West. It is going to be an exciting Sunday, one that I think you are going to benefit from so very much. We have four guests with us. They're going to identify themselves, introduce themselves to you in just a few minutes, but we're going to talk about some questions of faith and life and look at what this series has been like and what we've talked about and how it's relevant to us. If you are worshiping with us for the first time right now, we invite you to text the word welcome to the number that you see on your screen. Let us know that you're here, or if you're worshiping with us throughout the week, we'd love for you to send us a note, an email at info@headingwest.org, and just let us know that you're checking us out. We're so grateful that you have chosen to spend your time and invest here at West. In 1 week, we have something else really exciting for you. We're going to gather together again in person at Lake Norman High School parking lot. Our worship team is going to do like a summer kickoff concert, and we just think it's going to be a great way to gather together. We're going to sit outside our cars. We're going to social distance, but we invite you to come bring a friend. It's a great way to invite somebody to check out what a church is like, because guess what? We're going to have Christian songs and songs you hear on K-Love or whatever, but we're also going to have secular songs that you hear on the radio. That's a great way to say, hey, my church really is different, and you're going to hear music that you know, even if you never listen to a church station. So we're so excited. I hope you'll come next Sunday to the high school parking lot, or if you can't come in person, if you're one of our many folks that has joined in with us over the past year plus, and you don't live around here, we're going to offer the concert live well, not live, but we're going to offer a digital concert for you of our worship team. And so we're going to have two experiences, one in person, one online, and we are so excited for next Sunday. We're also excited for today, so let's get started. So as I shared just a few minutes ago, we are so excited that today we have this panel of amazing people here with me, and we're just going to talk about issues of faith and life, adversity and hope, and we're going to be looking at the topics that we've talked about the last couple of weeks with Hanny's story and how do we live as a resurrected people? How do we live in such a way that the resurrection really makes a difference? And so I have some questions that I'm going to ask them. It is our hope that by the end of the message today, you will find yourself in some of their stories, and you'll be able to relate to them. And then we'll all walk away from today and from this message series really realizing that we are given a power and a love that lies deep within us that carries us in and through all things. So with that, we'll get started. We'll start over here to my left. If you'll just share with everyone your name and maybe how long you've been a part of West.
I'm Barry Brown. I've been with West since the very beginning. I was part of the launch team, and when we first came to Lake Norman.
My name's Jason. I've been with West for about 4 years and served in many different levels within the church, and it's been a great experience for me.
Hi, and I'm Chris Hampton, and I have been a member 2 years. I think it's been about 2 years.
Yeah, it has.
Okay, it's been 2 years, so I've been here for about 2 years in different capacities.
Hello, my name is Lexi Hernandez, and I've been at West about a year and a couple months.
So we're excited to have the four of you, and they represent different generations of perspective and thought. So we're really excited that they are here. So you all have watched or been a part of worship for the past couple of weeks, and we've been talking about how does the resurrection really make a difference. Like, you know, we can idolize the people in Scripture and think, oh, that happened a couple of thousand years ago. That stuff can never happen to me when they encountered the resurrected Christ. And actually that does happen in our lives if we seek it, but it comes down to seeking and being able to see and experience, because our experiences are very different from the disciples. I shared with you that I met a lady about 9 months ago, and she's 80 years old, and as she shared with me her story, I thought, wow, I want to be like that when I'm 80, because my personal experience with 80-year-olds in my personal family, they were not necessarily hopeful and optimistic, more grumpy, So my dad gave definition to grumpy old man, and he would say that about himself. So she just has this unique perspective on life. We shared with you her story. Her first memory was being bombed out at 3. Her mom screaming for her brother, who was found lying under a dead man. Then just a few years later, after being separated from her dad, he died tragically. And then she made some bad decisions as a teenager, an unwed mom, met a man, fell in love, moved to the United States, was ostracized by his family, but still lived this very rich and full life, but not rich in worldly terms. And then he died tragically as well. And so for the past couple of decades, she really has been searching and then finding hope and joy in her life, and just has this really cool perspective. So I wanted to start off by asking you, and whoever wants to answer first can jump in, but what do you think it takes to get through adversity and get to the hope? So last Sunday we talked about in and through. Like, in order to deal with stuff, we have to go in it and then through it. What do you think it would take for you to get through the adversity and into hope?
I'll go first. I think the one word that comes to mind immediately is perseverance. You have to admit the situation you're in, and then you have to persevere. And to get the hope, you can't only rely on yourself. You can look within. That can be spiritual. That can be faith. You could look without. That can be others. My experiences have been nowhere near what Henny went through. The biggest adversity I experienced in my life was when my children were 2 and 4. Their mother died of complications of surgery. And that was a difficult time. I guess that's an understatement. But I made it through because of the help of others, and I got to the hope because of faith and my belief that that nothing, as Andrea always says, the worst things are not the last things, and anything since then have been minor adversities, whether it's been in work or problems with a child or injuries or illnesses or any of those kinds of things. Are easier to get through just because of that experience. So some of it's experience, some of it's perseverance, and some of it is listening to others and letting others help you, and staying positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to add to that. That was a great answer, Barry. I think for me it's been more of re-accepting my faith. I grew up Catholic, was estranged from that particular denomination for some years in my marriage, and that failed, and had a lot of things going wrong in my life, and I just got tired. You know, when you live a certain way, you do certain things, you get stuck in these patterns, and it seems to all these bad things are happening. No, there's no fruit. Why is there no fruit? And so what I did was I looked back in my faith, and I reinvested at the time, and I'm a believer in anything in life, it takes practice. And so it didn't happen by accident for me. I asked for it. I did rely on others. My relationship with my partner, and she's a faithful woman, and she provided me with an avenue and a space to be able to express these things. And I think all those things are important, but the most important thing was for me to ask for it. Like, I didn't have the answer until I started searching, and to start somewhere. And so if I can get anything across today, it would be that it takes practice. Faith takes practice. A relationship with God takes practice. And relationship with others takes practice. And so that's where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that earnestness and humility that comes with calling out to God, I think that's so powerful for you to share, because that is, I think, sometimes where we struggle. We just expect it to all come together. And then when we're in the middle of it, it's not coming together. And I think that's the beautiful example that Jesus shares when he said, my God, he cries out, why have you forsaken me? And I think sometimes we think that as Christians, we're supposed to have it all figured out, and we don't. So crying out, searching, seeking, it really does make a difference.
Surrendering,
Yeah, surrender's a huge...
Only when you're down, can you rise back up. So you have to sit there at some point
Yeah.
and deal with it.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you for having us.
Lovely.
And me. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that's helped me the most in getting through adversity is probably recognizing that bad things don't happen to you because you deserve for them to happen to you, but that bad things just happen in life. And that we are often where we're at in our lives, and we're met with those things. That was a big thing. So growing up, I grew up in a very evangelical kind of understanding of Christianity, and so I was just taught that, just pray a little harder, and God will bring you nothing but good things. And as I got older and those things started to fall a little short, I had trouble realizing, well, does God really love me? Is God here for me? What is God's role in all this? And I'll be also the first to admit that I have been fairly lucky throughout most of my life. I have not really experienced great adversity that some people have experienced. But through what I have been, I found that God meets you there in that pain, in that darkness, and he's there to welcome you and be with you. And that's the big thing. He's not going to be there to take the pain away. He's there to be with you as you go through this. I'm reminded, as we started thinking about some of these questions, I was reminded of Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. And, he was a Holocaust survivor who went through some absolutely tragic experiences. And what he talks about is this idea of finding hope, finding meaning in what you do and who you are. And I think that's so important because, it's like if you ask a chess player what the best move is, they're going to tell you there is no best move, because in any such situation there's lots of moves, lots of good moves out there, and that's how you get through adversity. You take what's given to you and find a way to be hopeful, find a way to be loving, find a way to not make it go away, because it's not going to go away, but as a way through it with God.
Thanks, Chris.
I can piggyback off all of the previous answers, because I think the new way that I found to find hope in adversity is actually enjoying when I'm in those areas that I would hate to be in, that I would be terrified to be in because I didn't know how to get out of those. But I think it was you, Jay, who said when you kind of hit rock bottom, the only place you can go is up from there. And so when I was little, I did not have a Christian background. I didn't really know where to turn for those things. So I would let those moments kind of consume me, and I didn't know how to get out of them. And now I kind of look forward to them because I find hope in those moments when I'm like, man, how am I going to get out of this? How did I get here? It just reminds me that there's always a better day coming.
I think to that point, that was one of the things I appreciated about when I said, so Hanny, you're 80, if you could pass a message on to a rising generation, what would you say? And she said, I would say to do 3 things. Be honest, be yourself, and always know that tomorrow will bring a better day. And I think that's a powerful mantra. So where are you all stuck right now? That's a nice personal question to throw out to hundreds of people watching. But where are you stuck?
I think I can start that one. I'm a newlywed. I just got married last New Year's Eve, and we have been through some things already, and that's been pretty tough. Like Jay had mentioned earlier, relationships are a struggle. I mean, I don't care who you are or what relationship you're referring to, but it is difficult to know yourself and then to know someone else, and especially when there's intimacy involved, it can be difficult to allow people in to who you are and how you think and all of those things. So as a newlywed right now, that's kind of where I'm struggling, but also being successful. It's kind of every day's different. We don't really know which day we're going to have yet, but it's a good learning curve, and I'm enjoying being able to get to know someone on that level. And it's helping me with my relationship with God, because I feel like it's very parallel to my relationship with my husband. So
Cool.
Yeah, I think I'm really, there's two areas right now that I'm really experiencing. So most of my life, I have experienced bouts of serious depression and anxiety. Had it since I've had my first panic attack when I was in elementary school. And so I've experienced that, and it wanes, it comes and goes. And so recently, it's been a lot worse. And in going through that, I've also found that what I've been going through right now would be what Mother Teresa went through, thank goodness, and yes, I'm now comparing myself to a saint. But
You're close, Chris. You're very, very close.
But Mother Teresa went through periods of doubt, and that's what I think I'm going through right now. St. John of the Cross would say the dark night of the soul, the experience of kind of wondering. Kierkegaard would say, as you stare into the abyss stares back at you. And that's where I think I'm at right now. My faith has really taken a period of doubt, of wonder, of, are you there, God? What do you look like? What does this faith mean? What does it mean to be a Christian? What does it mean to believe in the Jesus of Nazareth, who became anointed as the Christ? What does it mean to be a part of that? And is it all worth it? And so that's probably where I'm struggling the most right now.
Thank you for that vulnerability. I think a lot of people wrestle with those things. So thanks for sharing all that. And also those powerful people that have gone before us.
Yes.
I always appreciate conversations with you, because you can say all those things that, like, I can remember if I Google, but not, from church history and stuff. So I mean that very sincerely. These are like patriarchs and matriarchs of our faith, and they struggled. So if they struggled and their legacy carries on for years, it's okay to struggle.
I think that's what's helped me the most, is looking back at people like Mother Teresa, or people who have really struggled with depression and anxiety, and to say, because when you do suffer from anxiety and depression, a lot of times you feel alone and by yourself, and that you're the only one who experiences that. And that's a reminder to say, you're not alone. Lots of people experience that. And that doesn't always make it better, because you're still thinking, well, it still stinks that I'm experiencing this. But at the same time, to be surrounded and to know that other people have went through this, it can be helpful to find that community.
Yeah, and that it isn't taboo. In our society, mental health things have often been shunned or swept under the carpet. And, if the church can't be a safe place to talk about those things, then I don't think there really is a safe place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so thanks for your honesty.
I'd like to piggyback off of that, because mine sounds so trivial, that we all experience things together. And so my little problem now is the same problem we've all had for the last 15, 16 months, whatever. I retired on March 1st of last year, and then COVID came along. I had all these plans, and so we pretty much were all stuck at home, not a lot of movement. Things start coming together, and spring comes out, get both doses of the vaccine, and I break my leg. So I've been stuck in the house for 3 more weeks, and I have 3 more weeks. So it's just an extension of what we've all gone through. And again, that sounds trivial. I will allude to, I can't really, I don't want to go public with this completely, but I'm struggling with a value, really a spiritual value, that I have a conflict between something that I thoroughly enjoy and what I think I should be, how I should be living in this world, which I believe that Christ is in everything and every living thing in all of us, and connecting with Christ through other people, through nature, makes that important. And I'm struggling with something that I could do, and I will have to give up something that I love. And I won't go into more detail than that. But that's my real struggle, not being stuck in the house.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for sharing that. And it isn't anything unethical, because I know Barry,
No.
and he has shared some of your stuff with me. And Barry, I just want you to know, I admire people, but you rank, I call you Richard Ward Jr. because you really do seek God in and through. In and through all things. And so I appreciate you sharing where you're stuck, and not saying, oh, I broke my leg and yeah, I still miss people and now I'm stuck, but that there's a soul issue that you're really wrestling with. Because I think part of loving God and following Christ is really being willing to wrestle with those things that keep us up at night. It's so easy to put those in a box and say, I'm going to wrestle with whether I should, volunteer for the amped box stuffing or, stuff like that, or really what does it mean for us to be resurrected people? What does it mean to follow Jesus? And at West, we always say we're real, we're relevant, and we're non-threatening. But there's a but in there. Once you fall in love with God and once you encounter the resurrected Christ, it is very threatening. Jesus was not just warm and fuzzy and all let's sit around and hug each other. Jesus was like, you follow me. Sacrifice and follow me. And I think sacrifice looks very different for all of us. So thank you for your honesty about really wrestling with stuff in your soul.
I want to thank everybody for being so vulnerable, especially you, Chris. I have people in my life that I've suffered from anxiety and depression, didn't really know what it was, so I went into some therapy. So I think those things are all great. I struggle with, I guess, my biggest struggle right now is what do I do now? Mm-hmm. And what Andrea is saying is I'm constantly in conversations with God. I do meditation and I'm searching for that. I'm waiting for that to come out in some way, but maybe I'm not ready. I believe He makes you ready to handle whatever's coming next, and so I pray for that, Mm-hmm. But for me, my struggle is with my faith, and reconnecting with my children has been very important. So that's helped me, and refocusing on them. So maybe that's right where I need to be right now, mm-hmm. too. So that's kind of where I am, and what do I do with the gifts that I've been given? And how do I share them,
Well, the first way is by being here.
Yeah, I guess
and
so.
I really appreciated you're okay, you're asking me? All
Okay.
right. Well, yeah, but okay. And so, because I do think, one of the things we've missed by not being together for a year plus is the power of community. And there's only so many Zoom groups and only so many conversations over a screen you can have. So, thank you all for helping the West people find connection and community through the power of the spoken word. What do you think, if you could name one thing that you are relying on to get through your stuff, your wrestling, your dark night of the soul, what's one thing, and I really want you to be honest, what's one thing that you cling to right now that's helping you get through that?
It's just knowing the presence, feeling the presence. It's always there. If you don't feel it, then you just have to stop long enough to feel it. And it goes hand in hand with all the other things we've said about hitting rock bottom. When you get there and you're in that state, remembering that he's always there, or God's self is always there.
I think for me, it's what I've tried to do is let go a lot of my preconceived notions of myself and all these things that used to define me. You know how you have those voices in your head, and like
Yeah.
they're your worst enemy sometimes. And so it's really takes looking at those things and like just letting a lot of that go, because you have to surrender, I believe. And you know, even a meditation today I went and listened to was it had something in regards to you know, to encounter God. Jesus will tell you to let go. Like he does. There is no price. He's already given that price at the cross. You know, he's already paid it for us. So what are you going to do with that gift? And so that's where
Letting go. and
letting
surrender.
go. Yeah, I'm
And
trying.
being present. I mean,
Yeah,
it
I
all
mean,
goes
that's- and that
together.
kind-
That's
allows
so
you to
cool.
be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Go ahead.
My old thing I would cling to, because I have very, very, very deep-rooted self-esteem issues, and so I would search for validation wherever it would come from, and that usually meant social media. Let me share how great I might seem, or how pretty do you think I am, just whatever. And I would look for comments and all those things. So now, the thing I cling to is I will become mindful of that and try to be present in that moment. And I will go find my Bible or find my journal or just have a conversation. Call someone, sit Tony down if he's home, say, hey, can we maybe put our phones down and have a snack or make dinner or do something? So I'm in the process of moving from the old validation to a validation in my identity through Christ.
Through yourself
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you asked for one, but I'm going to give you two.
That's awesome.
Okay, so the first one is something that I heard. I don't remember, probably 10 years ago. It was a preacher who stood up and he said, "It might be Friday, but Sunday's a coming." And so that really stuck with me, and so that's what I've really tried to keep in my life, is that things might be dark right now, but Sunday's coming, and that Sunday means resurrection, that Sunday means love, that Sunday means finding God's presence, that Sunday can mean a lot of things for a lot of different people. But I have to say the second one that's really helped me recently is actually my fiance, Lindsay. She is my source of strength, my rock, who knows most days when I'm really struggling, and she'll say, Chris, what's going on? And nothing, I'm fine, because I don't want to put it on her. I don't want to add to her stress and anxiety. But she is like, no, tell me what's wrong. And so she knows when I'm feeling down. She knows when I'm feeling anxious. She knows when something might just be just a little bit off. And so that has really been my rock and my hope that I've looked for most recently, especially.
And,
That's sweet.
you know, I said yesterday, angels are messengers from God. And I do believe, I don't think, you know, like God is some giant puppeteer and, you know, making all this stuff happen. But I do think when we earnestly seek the path that leads to life, God, light, love, leads, is trying, you know, God, we believe that God works in and through all things. And so when others listen to that inner work and they follow God, we cross paths and we have angels among us. And that was actually the first Christmas sermon we ever preached at West on Christmas Eve, was that there are angels among us. And so I think it's powerful to claim that. And I think it's also powerful to tell the people that are angels among us, tell them that they are that for you. Because that, you know, I don't think sometimes we give each other enough validation and thanks. And for someone to know that they are that for you, I think is really powerful. So kudos for sharing with the world what Lindsay is for you.
Absolutely.
And so thank you. So COVID, Barry referenced COVID. And I guess if I'm stuck anywhere, it's that I'm afraid of what will come. You know, when we reopen, I mean, everybody's like, and I drive by Rocky Mount every Sunday morning, and depending on my level of lateness, I see different services happening, at the same time. And, I mean, I admire Jamie Hamrick and the church that he has been a part of growing and leading. And I've watched their parking lot go from just packed with their brand new facility to now, I mean, there's some spaces to park in. And every preacher I talk to or study I read says it's not going to be what it was. And I know that. And we were already seeing a trend of more online versus more in person. So, I have this fear of abandonment that, like, not just me, but like abandoning the church, because I do think what we offer is vital to a life of hope, so I'm afraid of what is yet to come. And that is because of COVID. So the question that I have for you now is, how has COVID changed you? And what are you going to do with that change?
I think I'll just do the practical part of it. It's the constant. We've lived in this world of all the safety precautions we need to take, and you might watch an old movie or an old TV show and go, why aren't they wearing masks? I mean, we're so ingrained in this culture of most of us, I hope, are ingrained in the culture of protecting one another and taking precautions. And I don't think that everything, the new normal is not going to be the old normal. It's certainly not going to be the normal we've experienced the last 15 months or so. But I think it's changed all of us in the way we think about being around other people, the value of being around other people. I know we've all missed that. And but what's going to come next? It's not a pessimistic view, but they've predicted that the coronavirus outbreaks were going to come for years, and some of us may have read about it and said, well, put that on the back burner. I'll worry about it when it happens. None of us ever expected it to be like this. So this has changed all of us permanently, whether we can identify it as, oh, why isn't he or she wearing a mask, or oh, I forgot my mask, or we've all had our shots so we can hang out, or any of those things. It's changed the way we look at the world and at each other, and there's no way to pull that back. It's a permanent change. We'll come through it. We'll come out. We'll probably end up being better for it. But we're also very fortunate. If this had come along 20 years ago, before they knew what to do with mRNA and could develop these vaccines that we have, we'd still be in this. And there's still a lot of people in the world that are in a world of hurt. India, for example, and there's other places too. So it's a worldwide problem, and it won't go away just because we solve it here in this country. It's going to stay around for some more months, if not years, and it's changed all of the way we look at life.
Can I share this? I've already I feel a little bit more cynical. I'll just say that coming out of this. So it leaves me uneasy just about what's next, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that same way, and I think that that's where faith comes in for me, because I'm a little bit more cynical. What's next? I think it's still going to be okay, because I think God is so big, and He's got control of all this, and so in that respect, it has changed me. In that, even though I've been conservative already, and like a little bit more cynical, maybe not trusting so much a lot, because there's so much mixed information out there. Weeding through that can be difficult at times. Discerning what to believe and what not to believe is difficult at times for everyone. And I think, I think having conversations about those feelings is important moving forward, because if we don't have them, it's just going to build more fear, So that's just my take on the virus and how it's left me.
Well, I appreciate you saying that it's left you a little more cynical, you know, that you wrestle with your cynicism, because I think a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And it's been a long 15 months, you know, and to Barry's point, it isn't over. And at some point, we have to define the new normal. And at the same time, it isn't all about us. You know, I read the other day an article about wearing masks and the importance or non-importance of that. And the thing that convicted me, because I'll admit I keep forgetting it and I have to go back to the car and all that kind of stuff. And I'm fully vaccinated. So I was like, well, and then the article said, wearing a mask right now is an act of solidarity and an act of support for all people. And I thought, go get the mask.
Yeah.
And that's who we're called to be, is unified with all. And it does convey a message of, hey, you know, I may be all good right now, but you may not be. And we're in a space of still uncertainty and a pandemic. And so it changes our actions. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I think for me, well, I would admit at the very beginning of this, what really changed was at the beginning, I really liked it in a way because that was my way of saying, I consider myself a fairly big introvert. And so that was my way of saying, hey, I don't have to go out anymore. No, I don't want to. And Lindsay's the opposite. She is an extreme extrovert. And so she likes to be around a lot of people. And so that was my way of saying, nah, we got to stay home. And so... but what I found is that throughout the year and almost, you know, year and a couple of months since we've been through this is the power of community. So I found that it was that even though I didn't want to be around a lot of people, what I've missed the most is being around people. And that was very eye-opening for me. And to speak to your point, Andrea, that you mentioned kind of at the beginning is the idea of what's the future of the church. I'm hopeful that we'll recognize that community is still needed. Now, I think it'll look different. We can't go back, and I hear a lot of people, especially in the church world, who say, I just can't wait to get back to how it used to be. And you know, it's not going to be that way. And if we are able to adapt, I think a lot of people are being fed a lot of, I'll call it fake Christianity. And what we can offer is kind of this real Christianity to the real presence, to love, to find God. And I think that will really help to bring community and to bring people into this sense of, of love and hope-filled happiness.
And before Lexi answers to speak to that, we are taking this as an opportunity to basically relaunch a church. I mean, we talked about that Sunday, but we're forming all new ministry teams. None of the ministry teams that we had before are the same. Like, we're going to start with blank slates. When I said that in staff, I think there were some heart palpitations. But, you know, I do have faith that people are going to say, hey, I want to be a part of this and this and this, and let's make that happen. But it's also why we've asked you to share with us what you are looking for in a faith community, because we don't think it's going to, Sunday morning is going to go back, or frankly anything is going to go back to the way that it was. Everything that we do moving forward will be different, whether it's children's ministry or youth ministry or missions, our Sunday serving the food thing. I'm so excited about new partnerships with Third Creek, because we've always said we were going to be relational and not just, you know, hand out some food. And because of Taste of Buffalo, and because we've been a partner with Third Creek for 10 years, like, we have opportunities to now really make it a non-toxic charity. And so, like, there's a vision team around that with old folks or longtime West folks and new folks. And so I'm glad you said that, and to try to not be cynical, but be full of hope and faith, you know, so I'm wrestling with that too. But thank you, I mean, for that, because it isn't going to be the way it used to be. But what's to say it can't be better?
Yeah, and isn't that exciting? That like that to me is exciting. Like, Christianity, for the most part, already, it wasn't COVID that had started the
Right.
trajectory of society looking bad down at Christianity and down at the way we did worship on Sunday at 11 o'clock. And there's a lot of churches you go in, and they were so upset that people wouldn't show up at 11 o'clock on Sunday to be a part of their church. And I think this is our chance to really reinvent what church means, what church can be for people. And to me, that's exciting. That's hopeful.
I think so. I think so.
So every time I explain this story, everyone kind of looks at me like I've got 2 or 3 heads. But I actually had my first in and through experience when COVID started. I had graduated college in May of 2018, and I had the same job from that day until COVID started. And I had lost my first job, which was my first big girl job. And it was my most recent rock bottom. And yes, that implies that there have been more than one, unfortunately. But that was my most recent one. And I was just kind of like, oh, crap, what do I do now? It was my first and only job post-college. I didn't know my skill set. I didn't have any confidence in thinking that I had a skill set outside of what I had been working in. And so I had to kind of dig deep and deal with a lot of harsh realities for myself and with my relationships, and kind of relearn my true self and find how I can now live in the COVID world as someone who I was not before COVID came. So it's been a bittersweet experience, but I've been really thankful for it.
Good. I think my last question for us today is, what does hope look like for you?
Now that I'm not afraid of change or learning new onion, what are they called?
Peeling away the
Yeah,
layers of
peeling
the
away.
onion.
Now that I'm not scared to learn about myself or to learn new things in general, I think hope for me is to continue to grow, work on myself, work on my relationships with others, work on my relationship with God, work on my relationship in the church as we relaunch as something else. I'm excited for change, and I think this is the first time in my life that I've been able to say that and actually mean it. So that makes me very hopeful.
Anybody?
I think hope is just the way you look at today and tomorrow. You feel the presence of love, which is God. And if you feel that, if you can feel the presence, then I'm not all that concerned with what's going to come tomorrow. There's going to be more trials, more tribulations, more difficulties, but there's also going to be more joy. And it's all a matter of how you look at what's coming. It's going to be an opportunity. So the future is hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of trite sounding, but
No,
I
I
agree.
not. That's why I asked the question, because it isn't trite. It's real.
Yeah, hope for me is love. Hope for me is, seeing my family and Dawn's children and my children all gather together. Hope is a future of brightness, of what's next, Even though I said I was fearful and cynical, I do know through my faith that it's not the end.
Right.
And like you always say, Andre, it's not, the worst things are never the last things.
Right.
And I've lived them, and I'm sure everybody else has lived the worst things, and we're all here still.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'll give credit, Frederick Buechner is the
the
one
one.
who said it. I heard it from Adam Hamilton, and then I thought, he's brilliant. And then I learned that he got it from Frederick Buechner, who is even more brilliant. But it is, it is truth that the worst things are never the last things, and that there is always hope.
Yeah.
So, and we don't have to be worried about 5 days from now or 10 days from now. Let's just be here, be fully present here, and y'all talked about that. So, thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, hope is, I'll piggyback off what really everybody said. Hope to me is love. It changes every day a little bit, though, what I'm hopeful for, because I think every day we live in the moment. Every day we are a part of the present moment, and to me, hope is being the fact that I'm here right now. I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful that I'm loved by so many. I'm grateful that I'm just grateful that love is what it's all about. And to me, that's something to be hopeful for, because I don't think that part is going to change. Even if I find something else to be hopeful for tomorrow, I still think that at the end of the day, love will always reign as true.
Will you pray with us? Gracious God, we are so grateful for hope. We also can find it within ourselves to be grateful for adversity, because it is through adversity that we can be fully present, be mindful, experience your presence, which is the great, unfailing, unwavering, always present love. And with that love comes peace and hope and joy. And so we are grateful for these individuals that have been so generous in their sharing of their stories and their thoughts and what drives them and what makes them who they are. And we are grateful for the people watching that are listening and call West a part of their lives. We ask that you work in us so that we can cling to whatever adversity we face, wherever we're stuck, and then allow it to transform within us so that it becomes hope, not just for us, but for all people. May we be beacons of light. May we be angels for others. May we be signs of hope for a world that is in need of that light and that grace. We are so grateful for you, for the life of Christ, the Christ that we can identify with and claim to follow and try to be like. And so, God, just continue to work in our midst, individually and corporately, so that we can be your church. And we give you thanks and praise. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us today. We invite you to take a look and listen to this song. Thank you for joining with us today. We hope you found this meaningful and relevant for you and your life. I haven't shared this with them, but this is a plan to do at the end of every message series, to bring you back and just talk about the principles that we learned. So I hope you'll be praying about that in the days ahead, because it's helpful when the West people can, first of all, not just hear me all the time, but relate to you. So thank you very much for your generosity and your vulnerability with the people. May we all go, and may we look at how we are stuck. May we figure out how to be a people of hope. Go in peace and love. Amen.